this in here, but at the end when they leave in the diner and they're driving, I thought it would have been great if Rue attempted to jump out the car.
Hey, nigga, you're weird. That's fucked
No,
up.
no, it's not. It's not because
Fuck you.
it'd really bring home how she
No,
was feeling, man. I felt like
no.
that would have been the
No.
perfect. See, I watch a
No,
lot of
you
dark shit. That would have been the
don't.
perfect
Of course you do,
punctuation.
but the whole point was she walked away from that conversation feeling better about herself and her life.
To this day, to this day, rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's stupid. Use your common sense.
But anyway, hello, welcome, my buddies, my pals, my friends. We are back talking about Euphoria, the show that won 3 primetime Emmys. Such a special show here.
Yeah,
And
the show that brought me to this channel.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm sure you regret it ever since.
I really do. I don't know why I'm still here. To be honest, I don't. I just have nothing else to do with my life, I guess.
I
While
ask
we're in
myself that
quarantine.
same question, man. Why am I here? What is life? Well, I mean, at least I got an excuse now. You know, even before the quarantine, I wasn't doing shit, but now I can say, man, that goddamn COVID stopped all of my plans. You know,
Right.
even though I didn't have it. But yeah, let's talk about Euphoria season 2, episode 0. This is a bridge episode.
Technically, it's not season 2. It's like
Man, the
it's a
shit
part
say
from
season 2.
Yeah,
on
whatever.
IMDb.
Fuck what it says. Fuck IMDb.
Okay.
Sam said it's not a part of season 2, so it's not a part of
Okay.
season 2.
Okay. What the fuck does he know? He's just a director, man.
He's just
Anyway.
the director and the writer and the executive producer.
Trouble don't last always. And I'm gonna start off with a hot take. This is probably the best episode of Euphoria I've ever watched. Brilliant writing with this episode. And it just reminds me. I mentioned that this show felt like he was like. It felt like it just said the director's name was Sam. It felt like he was influenced by Quentin Tarantino. Just based off the clever dialogue, especially in this episode. It just gave me a good feeling, and the way it was dissected. Usually people fail at this doing an episode that takes place in mostly one spot.
Yeah.
But he did a beautiful job of breaking up the dialogue. Like at one point in time, Martin, aka Ali, went outside and called his family.
Yeah.
That was great character development for him, and also it broke up the dialogue, so it wasn't just long strings of dialogue forever. They gave you a little break with that scene. I really loved that. And I mean, the guy who plays Ali is a great character for the show, and I enjoy seeing the grown perspective, seeing somebody that has lived life talk to these teenagers. Because a lot of times in these teenage shows, they leave the adults out, and that's terrible. I think the adults should be there to give you that other perspective. Because they've lived life, so they've experienced some of the things that these teenagers are going through. I think it's a disservice to keep them out and just do a show about teenagers. It's like the Charlie Brown shit where the adults will wah 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 wah. That's how most of these teen shows are, man. You see them, but they don't really add to the story at all.
Not heard. Yeah.
Exactly, and they're mostly the villains too, if you think about it.
Parents
Fuck
just
you,
don't
Dad.
understand.
Yeah, exactly. And
Party. Yeah.
yes, yeah. And I really enjoyed this episode for that. So how did you feel about this episode overall?
I want to agree with you that it's the best episode, but I still think the first episode was one of the best episodes. But I really like the pacing and the direction, specifically the parts where the camera is outside of the restaurant and then they do close-ups of their faces when they're having the conversation in the diner. I just thought it was like it took away the surreal elements of Euphoria that a lot of people kind of, you know, fell in love with the show for. But I thought how, you know, they switched it up was just, it was brilliant and it was seamless and it was
Oh yeah,
more
definitely.
realistic and it was relatable.
Exactly. Exactly. And a lot of knowledge dropped by both characters in this scene, man. This Rue said some shit. I was like, oh, okay, I fuck with that. I believe in that. Like, and Ali definitely had some. He was
Oh
dropping
yeah,
a lot of gems,
for sure.
a lot of gems in this motherfucker. So,
Yeah, Ali's an old head. He reminds me of my dad a bit, especially that scene where he was on the phone outside talking to his kids. Like, you know how old black men just have that kind of swagger about them when they
oh
on the
yeah, yeah.
phone. You know what I'm talking about? Like he could be one of my uncles or something. You know.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
I
He
was
did a
just
great
like,
job. Yeah.
yeah, this is one of the more realistic episodes we've done.
Exactly. Such
I-
such a great episode. Yeah. And there's some controversy in this episode too. A lot of people when the season ended, a lot of people were saying fuck Jules, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people that would dick around the show didn't really feel that way, but a lot of people that were in the middle was like, Jules ain't really good for Rue. I don't know about this rules shit. It seemed like she low key fucking Rue up. like like
I'm glad
tearing
that
her
they
apart.
are addressing that in these two episodes because number one, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I think a lot of it has to do with transphobia and how people just aren't used to seeing a trans character be polarizing and human at the same time. Because if we're
Okay.
being honest, Maddie's more toxic than Jules, and Nate is definitely more toxic than Jules. That bitch
Oh
Maddie
yeah,
said that she
definitely.
was raped in a pool. Nate went and beat his ass and got him put in jail, even though he didn't do
Yo.
shit. Like, nobody's talking about that. They're all like, oh, Jules is toxic. Jules did this and da 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 da.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as we learned, a lot of the things that we see from Rue's perspective did not actually happen between them. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can't
yeah.
we can't watch the show through Rue colored glasses because it's not what
I like
reality
I
is.
like their rue colored glasses. Like how you slipped that in there, okay?
Yeah, for real though.
Uh,
Like,
yeah.
obviously we have empathy for Rue and we feel her pain and we love her and Zendaya a lot. I think that our love for Zendaya is kind of bleeding into the character a bit, so that everybody who does anything wrong to her or slights her in any kind of way is kind of seen like a
Yeah.
piece of shit. They're all of a sudden the op, but that's really not the case. Like these two kids are 17 years old. They're in very confusing times.
Yep, yep.
Jules is going through a lot herself. Rue is obviously, you know, going through a lot with her drug addiction and her, you know, mental instability. And it's not going to be a cut and dry, happy-go-lucky relationship. They're going to have ups and downs. They're going to be going through shit, and that's exactly what this show is about. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah, I
for
agree
people
with that.
expecting Jules to be perfect or Rue to be perfect, it's just not real. It's not realistic.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It is an unrealistic expectation to expect Jules to fully be in Rue's corner or to like fully be the perfect companion. So definitely agree with that. But yeah, we can jump right into the episode breakdown, which ain't really much of a breakdown because it's just one scene.
Yeah,
But
it's
we
one
can
long
sort
conversation, but
of
I mean,
we can talk about
it had me gripped
the
from beginning to
highlights.
end.
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't even think I would like it. I was like, damn, we still at the diner? What the fuck going on? I didn't even look at.
Don't go somewhere.
Yeah,
They already
when they
finished them
gonna change the
pancakes. I
scene?
see they didn't eat that bacon though. Like they didn't finish the bacon.
Oh shit. Uh, but yeah, let's start off from the top. So it kind of threw me off because we see Rue and Jules together in the bed, and apparently, it was a dream, but I didn't know it at the time. Jules was going to college. She was doing some art type of things. And then as soon as she leaves the room, Rue hops back into the drugs she stashed away, and then we go to the diner. And it was really that scene was like the dream, the thing they talked about before going away to college together. You know.
Yeah.
But the
Sleeping
way
in
they
the
did it,
same
I
bed.
didn't. I thought it was real. Like they didn't give no hints that this shit was fake. I was like, what? I thought they went their separate way. But
Yeah.
yeah, that
Shout
kind of
out to
confused
Sam
me.
for adding to the wank bank. He was
Added to
just
the
like,
what?
the wank bank. That
The
first
wang.
scene, bro. The wank bank.
The wank. Oh my god. We did see those titties, man. We did see that. That's what you are referring to. I know you a hunter simp, man. You be simping out
Simp.
here.
Not a simp. I'm just
Simp.
appreciator. I appreciate
Did you
all.
appreciate that bulge?
I did actually. So,
Oh my god.
and you did too. I don't know why you fronting.
Nah. What? Well, I don't like how you try to put me in this position. Yeah,
It's a position you want to be in. I'm just stating the obvious. We all know what Bush likes.
Wow. Okay.
You didn't deny
look,
it.
I ain't gotta deny it, man. People know me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It is what it is. You know, I ain't no transphobe, man. You know, it what it is, man. Anyway, then it transitions to the diner scene. Rue goes to the diner to visit Ali, and Ali is her mentor. And the conversation first starts off with a lie. You know, she tells him that she's all about her sobriety, and she's a functioning drug addict. And Ali just looks at her like, yeah, that's bullshit. What the fuck does that mean?
Get out of here. You high right now.
Yeah, you high right now. Oh my god. Just does that black comedian thing. Just starts saying a bunch of bullshit and moving her head like just filling space. And Ruth tells Ali when she's clean, she feels like killing herself. So they start to get into a deep conversation after it's revealed that she's lying. And we kind of sensed this about Ruth. We knew she wanted to kill herself. We saw it at the end of last season. They did all this. They did this grand ending of her killing herself, and it was like this musical.
A relapse.
Yeah, it was a relapse, but he put some messages in there, some suicidal hints in there. Like her looking like a zombie walking through the hallways. I mean, it was a beautiful scene. And of course I broke it down. I knew she wasn't really dead, but I had to talk about it because I thought it was interesting. He kind of looks at her and he's not fazed by that. I'm sure he's heard it all before.
Yeah.
So what did you think about just that beginning stage, like her lying and her revealing that she wanted to kill herself?
I think it's interesting that Ollie seems to be the only person in the show that she could be honest with and completely open up to. And, you know, she finally reveals the things that are going on in her head. Because even with Jules, she doesn't tell her everything that's going on. She's not completely
she's closed
forthright
down
with her feelings.
Yeah.
But she can't lie to Ali. Ali's been there. He's done that. He's been a drug addict for decades, a recovering drug addict. And he's been around so many people in the same position, and he just sees right through her bullshit. So there's no point in even coming at him with some lies, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So for her to just have somebody to open up to, I think it's the beginning of you know, maybe her opening up to being sober, because she realizes that if he can do it, then I can too. And this nigga was on crack. So
yeah, he was on crack. Yeah, that's worse.
Just be doing a little pill here and there. He was on crack.
Yeah, he was on the crack. Yeah, he was. That's way more. I guess I feel like that's way more addicting than what she's doing.
Crack's one of the worst drugs you can do. But
exactly.
I think that people were so hyper focused on Jules being Rue's savior and her relationship with.
I mean, it wasn't just the audience; it was like her too. So we were seeing it through her perspective, and like I pointed this out when I did the review that when she went to the Halloween party, Jules was like dressed as an angel, and that's kind of how Rue pictured her.
Yeah,
like, so that was great the way they did that.
But I personally think that her and Ali's relationship is the one that's gonna be the one that brings her into sobriety. more so
Oh
than
yeah,
Jules.
definitely. I mean, Jules has her own problems to deal with.
Yeah, she's getting blackmailed. So,
Oh yeah, you're right. She is. I forgot about that. I haven't seen the show in so long. And one thing, this is part one of the Ali dropping gems, man. And one thing he said was in response to Rue being nonchalant and unavailable and suicidal and emo, he was like, "You give a fuck so much you can't bear to be alive." Because
yeah,
you know how those emo kids be like, "I don't care about nothing,"
right.
and they really care about a lot. So I like when he said that. Then he asked, "Why'd you relapse?" Um, and I feel like that was a good question that really got into the stuff about Jules. And she kind of shrugs it off and says, "All things I remember and all the things I wish I didn't." That's why she says it at first, but later on, it's revealed that it was what Jules did. That's why a lot of
Deeper
people
than
are
that,
upset.
I think she has abandonment issues. I mean, her
Yeah.
father died, and she doesn't
Oh
really
yeah,
seem to
yeah.
have a lot of friends.
Yep,
And she
yep.
was just clinging to somebody, anybody,
To
to make her
somebody,
feel
yeah.
good. And then when she left, she was like, "Oh, I don't have anybody. Turn back to drugs."
Which is kind of the most selfish shit ever, because you still have your family.
Exactly.
Like that's the confusing part about it. She's trying to cling to this new relationship with Jules, like worshiping her and all of that, but you still have your family there. Like,
Yeah, like
why not cling to one of them?
Gia worships Rue. Like, she looks up to her and she loves her unconditionally. Like, you should just build that relationship and build a relationship with your mother, and then worry about everybody else later, because they
Yeah,
are really all you have in the end. Anyway.
exactly. And Ollie was really saying a lot of interesting things and like responding to every question she had with a great follow up. And she it took her a while to like really get invested into what he was saying. And at one point in time, she said that she didn't want to get clean, even after all the shit that Ollie talked about. She was like, "I don't care about getting clean. I'm not gonna be here for long." And that was really some dark ass shit to say at that time. That threw me all the way the fuck off. How'd you feel about that?
I thought it was a no pun intended, a sobering moment, because I think it's how a lot of addicts feel. Like, they don't want to get clean. You could do whatever you can for whoever in your life is an addict, put them through rehab and go through counseling and all of that stuff, but they don't get sober unless they want to. You can't help those
Yeah.
who don't want to be helped. And right now, Rue is at a point where she doesn't want to be helped. She just wants to be consumed by either drugs or, attention or love from Jules. And if she can't have Jules, she'll just turn to drugs.
Yeah, and it really goes back to what Ali was saying, man. It's just like you give a fuck so much that you can't bear to be alive, and that's really how she feels. She talked about this in the first episode that she has to take drugs to deal with life. Life has been hard on her, and she feels like she needs to take these drugs to even cope with everything that's been happening to her. So,
and I think it was something that's inevitable, considering early on she was diagnosed with, mental disorders, and she was put on drugs from such a young age. So her transitioning to recreational drug use was, it was probably not a big deal to her, and she just sees it as a part of her life that she can't really do without.
And really speaks on a greater issue that we have in this country with medicine and the medical
over
field.
medicating people.
Exactly. We
And
just
sometimes
give them pills.
misdiagnosing people.
Exactly. Especially in the black community, that happens a
Yeah.
lot. But they set her up to fail from the very beginning, with that learning disorder thing. So she's just doing what society told her she needed to do, what was necessary to survive, and that's to be drugged up.
Exactly.
And then it goes into a conversation about God, because she says that she can't agree with this NA stuff. That thing where they say came to believe in a power. She can't believe in a power greater than well, what did it say? Came to believe a power greater than ourselves can
Yeah,
restore us
the
to
AA
sanity.
mantra.
Yeah, and they get into a heated conversation about God. Rue says she doesn't believe in God, and Ali says if God didn't believe in you, you wouldn't be breathing, and that rubbed her the wrong way. She's like, oh, so what about my father? Did God not believe in him? Is that why he died? I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
He was kind of stunned by that. He didn't have an answer.
yeah, he wasn't prepared for that one. Nobody was. I like that scene. You know,
Yeah.
it was the first time that you felt like she cared about something. you
Yeah.
know, so that was great, man. And he stumbles a bit at first, but he then tries to bring it back around. Starts talking about God saved me for a reason. God damn it, Keek.
Huh?
Oh, you back? Okay, good.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm saying he kind of brought it back around. He stumbled a bit.
Yeah.
Starts talking about God saved me for a reason. He started talking about himself because he got into a little bit of hot water talking about her issues. So he starts talking about how he feels about God.
Yeah.
And he said something. Your life is more important than the people who died. I don't know. It was a lot in that conversation. And I enjoyed that. I kind of agree with what Rue was saying too, man.
Yeah.
About God in general, how people say, like God did this for me, God did this for such and such. But what about the people that didn't make it? Did God not have a plan for them? Why did they
not
die?
important enough?
Yeah, were they not
be
important?
alive?
Yes, I like that when she said that. Were they not important enough? Yes. And then Ali transitions into talking about like Malcolm X's story. All the people that kind of sort of found God and how they were in the same position that she is in currently. They didn't think that it was necessary for them to survive and live. And he goes into this conversation about revolution and what does that mean exactly. Talks about how companies and advertisers sort of gentrified the message of the movement to sell products, and how he said a real revolution. What does he say? I forgot. Something about I have it right here. I'm trying to find it in all of this scramble.
You can't read your handwriting again, Bush.
No, it's not my handwriting. It's a lot of stuff here. He said true revolution has no allies. Okay. But you back? Okay. It said he said true revolution has no allies. That's what I tried to find, and that is true. Because I mean, it's not really a revolution if everybody agrees with it. You're not doing nothing. Like you were saying something that everybody kind of agrees with now. Yeah. But I think it kind of missed the mark in that sometimes there has to be a period of time, a point where people do come around and start to agree with it. Like
because that's the only way anything will change.
Exactly. So it is good that these companies are trying to jump on board. Even though they are doing it for the wrong reasons, it's still good. It's still good to have them here.
It's trendy right now, and they're trying to make $1.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah, it's whatever.
Like he said, fuck Nike. But maybe not if I get an endorsement in the future for some reason. Then it's by Nike. Just do it.
That shit made me laugh. He was like, okay, that's very thoughtful. And I love Nike. And then he said he saw the price. He was like, Nike, I thought you loved me. I really fuck with that message. It made me think about funny. Jordans and what kind of Michael Jordan. He didn't really say it, but what people thought about Michael Jordan and his distance from the black community and him not wanting to dive into politics. But at the same time, all those people, up until recently, but at the same time, all those people were going out to buy his shoes and even killing for him. Things that were happening outside of his hand. And then we get that break that we talked about earlier in this episode here, where Ali goes outside. But before that, I think before that, did he talk about his family?
He
Or
goes
was it
into his
after?
family a little bit. I think he just tells her that, he has daughters.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, he does. He says that's when it's revealed that his name was Martin, and that he relapsed after 12 years for about a year and a half, which is a long ass time to relapse.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm sure like all the people in his life were like, "Hey, congratulations, you've been clean for 12 years." And then to have him just relapse like that and go back to his old ways, I think that's what really strained him and his family's relationship even more
People
so.
really turn away from when you seem to be doing better, and it's like all the past is behind you and you're a whole new person. But
Oh,
really, you were the same person. You were just fighting a battle every day, and you were winning up until a certain point, and then
yep.
you lost the battle, and people are like, "What the fuck? How did that happen?" You know what I'm saying? But like
Yeah.
addicts, they have to fight every day to not use. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's not easy.
It is a continuous fight. It never really ends. It never really ends. But yeah, this was some very important character development for Ali when he went outside. Like I like that was put into this episode because it could have just been exclusively about Rue's troubles. But I like how they broke it up by bringing in some development for him as well. So it's Christmas Eve, and usually that's the time where family members are willing to give you a shot, willing to have that conversation with you because it's the holidays. And that's really when people are more charitable, and that's the same thing for his family. They were hesitant when he first called up. Like one of his daughters didn't even come to the phone, but eventually she came to the phone and they had this solid conversation. I wish I could hear what they were saying, but you can kind of tell what they were saying based off of how he reacted to it. But there's still definitely some animosity there within
Yeah,
that
I think
relationship.
they were mostly just asking if he was sober and what he was doing and shit like that.
Yeah.
They still think that, in the midst of using, just out on the streets, but
Oh yeah.
he's actually helping somebody out on Christmas Eve, which is very selfless of him. So
Oh yeah.
you got to give credit where credit's due. Ali, he has taken Rue under his wing, and it's kind of like a surrogate father, and I think that's good for her. That's what she needs. Needs a father figure, strong, who has been through what she's going through right now and could, guide her along the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's a great. I think he's a. He's a better character than a lot of other characters on the show. I'm not even gonna say no names, but he's already way more
He's
developed.
grown. He's done doing that bullshit high school
Yeah,
like bullshit. Like, you gotta understand, these are 17, 18-year-old kids. They have
that's no.
no
That's
real
that's
life
that's
experience.
that's no excuse. I ain't talking about them as like actual characters. I'm talking about like the scenes they're given, like the writing of it. I know that they are fucked up and they're not supposed to be like good people or fully developed, but some of them aren't developed in the writing room either. Not just on the camera, but it's fine. It is fine.
Well, yeah, I think Sam was just trying to tap into this
Yeah,
generation and how we interact with each other, and a lot of it
yeah,
has to do with just us growing up on the internet. Just how we interact,
that's
how we
true.
communicate is a lot different than past generations. I'm saying.
That's true. I agree with that. I agree with that. But it did make me think about kind of her mother when I saw that scene. Like I talked about how there should be a little bit more adult interaction. I really want to see some more scenes next season with the mom,
Yeah.
especially after this episode. But after that brief break, so there was while Ali was outside, there was a scene where Rue was looking at her phone. Did Jules message her or something, or was that an
Yeah,
old message?
she texted.
Okay. And what that text say again? I forgot.
You and she sent a song,
Oh, a song. Okay.
and then Rue started listening to.
Yeah, that kind of confused me a little bit. Cause I'm like, so they still having a conversation, and they still going back and forth despite what happened. So that's why I was confused. Like, is that new or is that like old? But yeah. So after that, Ali goes back into the diner, and I'm trying to see, did he bring? I think he brought in Miss Marsha to the conversation, the lady that was at the bar, and this is the scene where we really get deep into the relationship between Jules and Rue, and he asks Miss Marsha about having a relationship while trying to overcome your addiction, and she was just like, she was being real, she was being straight. She's like, I couldn't be invested into a relationship because I had to be invested into myself to get clean.
And that's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. And because like proven by like how like Rue proved, you you invest a lot into a relationship, and if that doesn't go right, it'll put you right back in the hands of those drugs. So you really
and alternatively, it's too much pressure to put on the other person.
Oh
for
yeah,
you to be the only reason that you're sober. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And she does. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I like this scene because I knew right away that Miss Marshall was a real person and not an actress. Because what she said was, it could not have been written by anybody. This is her life experience, and just her spitting real facts. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was cool how they just included her.
Yeah, it did kind of feel that way. Yeah. And
yeah. Zendaya was on Jimmy Kimmel, and she was talking about how they found her when they were filming a scene in the church in the first season, either the first episode, I think, or one of the episodes where she's at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting or whatever, and they really took a liking to her, so they added her to this episode. And she was just like a huge breath of fresh air, because like everybody in all the characters kind of seemed surreal in a way, but she was just so real.
Oh yeah, definitely. And she did say some very important things, like everyone good to you is not good for you, which was a very, very good, powerful message there. Because it's true, you know. Just because somebody's being nice don't necessarily mean they're great for you. I mean, they might be bad for you. Just, you know. Yeah. And we really start to get into the stuff of like I said, Rue comes out and says she blames Jules for her relapsing. You know, says that she cheated on me. And what do you like? So I mean, you kind of talked about it already at the top of the show. You got any more about this subject right here?
I've been saying for the longest time, like, they were not in a real relationship.
Yeah.
They were in a situationship, so you can't really cheat on somebody you're in a relationship with.
Yeah, and Ollie kind of points that out. Yeah. Like, did she say? Did y'all talk about being into a relationship? And she was like, "No, we just kissed a lot." And she said, "I love you," and he was like, "I tell my mailman I love him," so that doesn't really mean anything.
I think a lot of the deeper aspects of them being actually together, that was all in Rue's head, and we kind of start to see.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
The fact.
And we saw the effects that it had on Jules. Like Jules did feel pressured by Rue, like just all up on her. Like she felt pressured by all of that attention she was receiving, and that caused her to act out a little bit. Till eventually the relationship kind of ended. But I did not agree with what Jules was doing towards the end of the season when she tried to force Rue to run away with her, knowing.
It did.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean,
but I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together.
Yeah,
I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so they could, you know, be together. I don't think she was trying to force her. I just think she wanted her with, so develop their relationship away from everybody else that was kind of fucking
Yeah,
shit up for Jules, i.e. Nate,
yeah,
in
yeah,
that whole
yeah.
situation. I think she just wanted to be with Rue but be away from
From
where they
everything.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they live two different lives, and I mean, Rue really couldn't leave her family or like go somewhere randomly. I mean, she's already given her mother a hard enough time, and I was glad that she finally thought about that in that moment. Like, cause she scarcely talks about her. I feel like she doesn't talk about them as much as she should.
Yeah.
She talks more about Jules. And when at that moment when she really had to make a decision, she finally thought of them, and I thought that was a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
It was kind of fucked up that Jules left anyway. She talked about that, but I mean, I guess she's still trying to talk to her, so she didn't completely abandon her. So
But at the same time, I don't know if somebody was blackmailing me and threatening my life. Accuse somebody and I could potentially end up in prison, I'd probably want to dip too. If we
yeah,
being
yeah.
honest.
Yeah, a lot of things are going on, is happening. But then it gets into a good part here again. She brings up her family. And she really starts to care when she starts talking about the people outside of herself. She talks about how she attacked her mom and tried to stab her or something. And she says that every time she says that the things she's done are unforgivable. And I think Ali, he goes into his bag again, starts bringing out them nuggets of truth there, and he's like every time you do something you think is unforgivable, you think, why change? It's unforgivable, meaning that it can't be forgiven. So there's no reason for you to invest time in trying to develop yourself or try to be a better person, because what you've already done is unforgivable, which I thought was extremely powerful. And he points out that like nothing really is unforgivable, and it's only unforgivable from your perspective because you're the person that did it. But
Yeah.
like, really, what about the people that are still in your life, like your mother? How does she feel about it? Does she think it's unforgivable? I mean, because if she did, she wouldn't really be still trying to help you. So obviously she doesn't see it that way. So in a way, Rue was being selfish about it. So I really fuck with that.
Selfish and self-centered aspects of Rue's character, but we just kind of gloss over it because we feel sorry for her in a way.
Yeah.
But a lot
And
of her
because she's the
actions,
main character.
yeah, a lot of her
Yeah.
actions seem to be just all about her. She's not really thinking about Gia.
Yeah, never.
She's just like, she's in her own world doing her own thing. And, it's fine to be that way as long as it doesn't affect anybody else, but everything she does affects her family.
Exactly. And when he honed in on that aspect, when he saw that she really cared about her family, that's when she really started to get it.
Yeah.
She really started to get it. She kind of broke down a little bit. But before that, he kind of talks about cancel culture. He says that people do shit we deem as unforgivable, and in return, they decide there's no reason to change. And he talks about, I guess that was some conversation about cancel culture, which I really don't fully believe in. But there are a lot of people out there that don't believe that certain people can be forgiven or change, and that's really not good. How do you feel about that?
It was not necessarily a conversation about cancel culture, because
Yeah.
cancel culture isn't a thing that actually does anything, especially if you're a rich celebrity. Like, you might lose a bag, but the bags still continue to come. People might think you're a piece of shit, but if you're in a movie, they'll still probably go see it, or they'll buy your music. Maybe you won't get as many sales the first week, but cancel culture doesn't really do shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
There's a
I
lot of
agree with
people who
that.
still blindly follow these artists and these actors and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really talking about what it does, but I'm talking about in general, people there are celebrities that people will just never forgive, and that's
I mean, it depends on what you did, in my opinion.
well, I
And
mean,
if it's something that
even
you continuously do or have done for a very long time, and you don't really feel guilt, you just make public apologies for your image, and a lot of the times that's the case, then yeah, it's fuck them, because they're a piece of shit regardless. You know what I'm saying?
but I think it's sort of linked in a way to what they were talking about, the conversation they were talking about. Like if you don't give people an opportunity to grow and change, then they'll never change. You gotta open up a window. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not gonna open up the door, at least open up the window.
Yeah, I
Let them
believe in
see.
forgiveness and, allowing people room to change. Like, for example, Mike Tyson. I think he's come a long way from beating
Oh,
the shit out of
definitely,
Robin Gibbons and, being an asshole. I think he's seen
definitely.
the error of his ways, and he's gone through his own personal losses in order to have to come to a point where he matured and he realized, damn, I was fucking stupid. I was an asshole. I'm gonna start treating people with respect.
Well, it's really, really. Oh, I'm glad you brought up Mike Tyson, because I've been watching hot boxing podcasts, and that is some of the best shit ever. Like, you wouldn't think that like so many intelligent conversations would come from that, because it's like two athletes discussing, but they really go deep. I think his co-host said some shit that was crazy. He was like in response to people saying, how are you guys so calm coming from such a savage sport? Because the other guy's from football and Mike Tyson's from boxing, and he was like, you don't know how many people I had to hurt to be this calm. I was like, oh shit, that is that is so powerful, man. Y'all should definitely check that out. That's a great show, man. A lot of deep conversations in there.
The part where he was interviewing Boozy, and
oh
he was
yeah,
he's like, why don't you respect gay people or trans people? Like, what's your problem? Then why don't you just shut the fuck up if you ain't got nothing nice to say?
exactly.
He's like, yeah, you're right. My mama told me that too. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love Mike Tyson's passion and his emotions in it, like, because he scares people.
He definitely put the fear in Boozy.
Even if he's not like trying to be overly aggressive, just how passionate he is about everything. But yeah, I thought that was very special, man. And then we get Ali. He kind of goes deeper into his life, because Rue needs an example of why he believes that what she did was forgivable. So it's like I did some things that I deem unforgivable. I even had people in my life that I deemed were unforgivable, and he was like, I spent 30 years thinking about killing my dad for doing the same shit that I was now doing. Because he talked about how his father used to beat his mom, and that he hated his father forever. Like, he would never forgive him for anything. And then later in life, when he got caught up on drugs, he was beating his wife. He caused issues between his family, and his children were watching him beat on their mother, and he was doing the same shit that his father was doing. And I know it hurts him that they probably feel the same way about him that he felt about his father. So I really love that. What did you think about all of that?
Yeah, I think that it's something that it happens in a lot of people's lives. The cycle of abuse. You have to recognize that you can forgive that person even though they did something wrong, not just for themselves, but for you to be able to grow up and not make those same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Because if you just separate yourself and be like, I'm not gonna be like them, they're a piece of shit, whatever, you still might inadvertently end up doing the same thing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody, we all humans. We all make mistakes. I know that's real simple and basic, but it's true, man. Sometimes sometimes it's not that complex. It's simplistic. We look for all these complex answers to these questions when it's really simple, man. It's right in front of our eyes. So, but yeah, that was great, man. And he kind of tells her why he feels, why he still believes in himself, despite all the bad things that he's done in his life. He's like, the thought of maybe being a good person is the reason I try. And because Rue kept calling him a good person, like before he even talked about his family, he asked, do you think I'm a good person? And she was like, yeah, I think you're a good person. And even after the end of the conversation about being his wife, she's still like, yeah, I still believe that you're a good person. So I really felt like that kind of opened everything up, and we finally start to see some emotion from Rue. We start to see tears and all of that stuff. Because he asked her, because again she said that I don't plan on being here for long, and he asked her, who do you want to be when you leave this earth? Which is which is a lot. That's a very loaded ass question.
It's very loaded. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah. And how do you want your mom and your sister to remember you? And again, man, as soon as you take it off of her and put it on the people in her life, that's when she really starts to break down. And you sort of see that she does care. And she said her response to that question was, I want them to view me as someone who tried really hard to be someone, I couldn't. Which I was like, man, this is some great ass dialogue. This is a great conversation. And I think that was the most important parts of this episode. I think we pretty much touched on everything. Is there anything else that we might have missed that we should talk about here, Keek?
No, I think we covered legitimately everything. Like all the major points, everything important that kind of impacted me and how I felt.
Okay. I sort of agree with that. And this was a perfect link episode. It makes me look forward to the next Bridge episode and the real second season. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can't even picture another way of doing an episode like this. Like I felt like this was perfect. Hell, even if it wasn't for quarantine, I would have felt like, even if it wasn't for COVID, this would have been a great episode. So
yeah, because the first season was so fast paced and everything kind of felt like a fever dream. And this is the only opportunity we had to just slow down and get really in depth with two characters and pay attention. Yeah.
And I kind of love the fast pacing of it because it's a reflection of the life that these kids were having. It's fast paced.
Yeah, I do too. So, I like how you can just have two different styles within the same show.
Exactly.
There's a good balance. I think that was like the theme of Rue's Bridge episode, balance.
Oh yeah, yes. You're right. That was the overall theme of it. And I hopefully we get more episodes like this within the season, the actual season. But yeah, I think
maybe
that's
not
it.
Though.
He said maybe not. Probably won't. Yeah, you're right. They probably won't.
It'll be fast as hell. So many drugs and parties, naked.
Exactly. But I do love the conversations, the moments of dialogue. Like even when she talked to her, the one guy, the guy that sells her drugs. What is his name again? Fez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that scene too, man. Like it's just any scene with like some good dialogue I enjoy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. The next Bridge episode, I give this a 10 out of 10, man. This is great. This was fire. What would you give this overall?
2 titties up. I mean 10 out of 10.
God. Leading with the thirst, man. I see you. I see you. But yeah, peace out, man. We'll catch y'all next one.
Bye.
It's in here, but at the end, when they leave in the diner and they're driving, I thought it would have been great if Rue attempted to jump out the car. What you said?
Great, nigga, you're weird. That's fucked up.
No, it's not. It's not, because it really bring home how she was feeling, man. I felt like that would have been the perfect. See, I watch a lot of dark shit. That would have been the perfect punctuation. Of course you do,
but the whole point was she walked away from that conversation feeling better about herself and her life.
But so that would
hurt be counterproductive. Of course, but I'm saying
I mean,
like it wasn't immediate that she needed to jump out of the fucking car when they were driving down the street.
the way they zoomed in on her face, I felt like it would have been a perfect time for her to attempt to open up the
You're
door.
sick in the head. You need help.
Like that, I mean, that would have been the perfect punctuation to like a movie. But this is a TV show, so it wouldn't really work here. But if this was like a movie, just this hour-long movie, that would have been the perfect message.
Seek help. Seek help. Please.
Seek.
You need therapy, bro. That's not normal.
Look.
What's going through your mind? You just see two people driving down the street in a car, and you like, damn, it'd be dope if she jumped out.
No, the way the camera zoomed in on her and the sad music that was playing in the rain, I felt like that would have been perfect if she attempted to end it there.
But you know how jarring that would have been just for her
That would have.
Nah.
Look, man, because the only thing she's certain of is her not wanting to live, or her not being here long, and that would have really drove the point home that the only thing that she was truly invested in was ending herself because she felt like she was unforgivable. You know, I don't know, man. That would have been crazy.